These outboard engines will blow your mind. You've seen big horsepower before, but here's what you didn't know. Today's monsters aren't just powerful, they're smarter, faster, and crazier than ever. We're talking boats with 6 engines, custom neon paint, and V12s that shift gears like sports cars. Stick around, because the deeper we go, the wilder these outboards get. Here's what you didn't know. The horsepower race isn't just about going faster, it's about spectacle. And today we're counting down the most insane outboard engines you need to see. When Mercury unveiled the V12 Verado in 2021, jaws dropped across the boating world. This isn't just another outboard, it's a 1,260-pound giant with 12 cylinders, twin contra-rotating props, and a whopping 600 horsepower. For decades, boaters thought 350 or maybe 400 horsepower was the ceiling. Mercury shattered that ceiling and built a new one way higher up. One of the wildest features is that the powerhead itself doesn't swivel, instead only the lower gear case turns, which makes docking and maneuvering feel almost effortless. Pair that with an automatic 2-speed transmission, and you've got an outboard that drives more like a luxury car than a traditional boat motor. If James Bond ordered a secret weapon disguised as an engine, this would probably be it. Of course, all that innovation comes with a price tag north of $80,000 per motor, and yes, people actually rig 3 or 4 of them on a single boat. That's nearly $500,000 of horsepower hanging off the transom, just so you can get to your fishing spot a little faster. And if you think that's wild, just wait. The next engines are even crazier, and trust me, you don't want to miss the last one. So hit that subscribe button now and stick around, because it only gets more insane from here. Horsepower is one thing, but style is another. Some boaters aren't satisfied with raw speed. They want to be seen. That's where custom-painted Mercury rigs come in. Instead of factory black, you'll spot neon greens, bright oranges, or chrome finishes that practically blind you in the sun. It's not uncommon to see entire boat builds themed around the outboards. A hull wrapped in metallic purple with matching 400Rs is pure eye candy, even before the engine's wrought to life. The customization doesn't stop at paint either. Some owners add LED lighting to make their motors glow at night like nightclub decor. Are custom paints practical? Not really. They cost thousands extra and scratches will make you cry, but practicality was never the point. These rigs are about making the loudest statement possible before you even leave the dock. In a sea of plain black outboards, a candy apple red quint setup is unforgettable. Before Mercury's V12 stole the headlines, the crown belonged to 7 Marine. Their 627 was a 6.2-litre GM LSA V8 with a supercharger strapped on top, good for 627 horsepower. At the time, nothing came close. It wasn't just about power either. These motors were status symbols, bolted to the stern of million-dollar center consoles and sport yachts. What made them stand out even more was customization. Buyers could order them in wild paint finishes, with LED-lit cowls and even chrome details. Forget plain white or black motors. These looked like something out of a car show. Imagine pulling into the marina with 4 glowing green outboards behind you. Subtle? Not even a little. The downside was cost and complexity. At well over $100,000 each, a quad rig could set you back $500,000 before the boat itself. Still, for a few years, if you wanted to turn heads and flex your wallet, nothing screamed louder than 7 Marine 627. If one Mercury 400R is impressive, 5 of them in blazing orange is downright ridiculous. The 400R was Mercury Racing's flagship for years, a supercharged inline-6 pumping out 400 horsepower. But when wealthy boaters started bolting 5 of them in a row, things went from impressive to insane. Picture the transom of a 50-foot center console, dripping with paint-matched orange motors, all screaming in unison. That's 2,000 horsepower of coordinated chaos. capable of pushing the boat into triple-digit speeds. At that point, fuel economy isn't a consideration. The joke is you measure mileage in gallons per minute, not miles per gallon. The best part is the spectacle. Pull into a marina with 5 color-matched outboards, and you don't just arrive, you make an entrance. The motors themselves were about $35,000 each new, but the custom paintwork and installation push the cost much higher. It's a statement piece, like wearing a neon suit to a black tie party. Yamaha's answer to the horsepower race is the XTO Offshore 450, introduced in 2023. It's a 5.6-litre V8, making 450 horsepower, built for huge offshore fishing machines and center consoles. Unlike Mercury's supercharged motors, Yamaha stuck with natural aspiration, relying on displacement and tech to deliver smooth, consistent power. One of the coolest features is the fully integrated electric steering system. No bulky hydraulic lines, no clunky pumps, just smooth, computer-controlled precision. Add in digital throttle and shift, and you've got a motor that feels more like flying an aircraft than driving a boat. For hardcore anglers, it's perfect for joystick docking and tight maneuvers. Of course, Yamaha built it with durability in mind. The XTO has beefy mounts, oversized gear cases, and enough alternator output to power a small town. On a boat with triple or quad setups, it's not unusual to see more than 1,800 total horsepower. For fishermen chasing tuna miles offshore, that's peace of mind delivered in V8 form. That's 1,700 horsepower already, but we're only halfway there. The engines coming up make quads look tame, and the final one will blow you away. Don't click off now. Hit like if you're loving this power, and stay tuned. The best is still ahead. Mercury's racing division took things in a different direction with the 450R. Instead of chasing smooth luxury like the Verado, the 450R is a raw, supercharged 4.6-litre V8 designed for pure speed. Rated at 450 horsepower, it was an instant hit with offshore racers and high-performance center consoles. This is the motor you see on poker run boats, lined up in 4s or 5s across the transom. The whine of the supercharger alone tells you it isn't a normal outboard. These engines aren't built to idle quietly at the dock, they're built to push hulls over 100 miles an hour. If the V12 is a Bentley, the 400R is a Corvette with open headers. Mercury even offers heavy-duty midsections and racing gear cases, so the motor can handle surfacing props at high speeds. That's boating jargon for this thing is designed to scream. It's not cheap, but if you want to win bragging rights at the sandbar, the 450R is the ticket. Now let's clear something up. You won't see Mercury and Yamaha mixed together on the same transom. Multi-brand rigs just don't happen. The controls, rigging, and warranties would be a nightmare. What you do see are mega builds where one brand goes all in, and the results are pure insanity. Take the HCB 65 Estrella, for example. It's the largest center console in the world and often rigged with 6 Mercury V12 600s. That's 3,600 horsepower bolted to one boat. Cigarette Racing took a similar approach with their 59 Tirana, strapping 6 Mercury Racing 450Rs across the stern. Midnight Express even did a 43 Open with 5 400Rs in blazing orange, a setup so outrageous it practically broke the internet. These aren't fishing trips, they're rocket launches on water. Quad Yamahas on a Grady White Canyon 456 or 4 Merc 450Rs on a Valhalla V41 might sound sensible by comparison. In this horsepower arms race, mega rigs are the ultimate flex. One Yamaha XTO 425 is already serious business, but things get wild when boat builders start rigging 4 of them together. That's 1,700 horsepower across the stern, enough to launch a 40-foot center console like a rocket ship. These aren't race boats, they're fishing machines that just happen to outrun half the marina. Owners love to show off by throttling down the channel, the sound of 4 big V8s rumbling in unison. It's a flex, no doubt, but it also has a practical side. Offshore anglers want speed to reach the fishing grounds first, and with quads you can cruise faster than most boats run flat out. Of course, the fuel bill will make you sweat. At wide open throttle, you might as well have a tanker following behind. But when the tuna are biting and you're first to the spot, it suddenly feels worth every penny. Quads don't just make a statement, they redefine what an offshore fishing trip looks like. Before the 627 came along, the 7-Marine 557 was already shaking up the outboard world. Based on the same 6.2-litre GM V8 platform, it cranked out 557 horsepower with the help of a supercharger. When it launched in 2011, it was more powerful than anything else on the market by a wide margin. The design wasn't just about brute strength. 7-Marine put effort into styling, offering custom cowls and color schemes so boat owners could match their motors to the hull. It was like ordering a bespoke suit, only this one cost more than most houses. They even had LED lighting kits to make the engines glow at night. While expensive, the 557 set the tone for modern high-performance outboards. It showed that boaters didn't just want horsepower, they wanted exclusivity. If your neighbor had 3 Yamaha 350s, you could show up with a pair of 7s and know you'd win the horsepower arms race without question. Suzuki isn't always the first brand people think of in the power wars, but their DF350A deserves respect. Released in 2017, it's a 4.4-litre V6 producing 350 horsepower, but the trick lies below the waterline. This was the first production outboard to feature contra-rotating dual props, giving insane bite and control in rough seas. On quads, that means 8 propellers churning in unison, grabbing water like claws. It's not just a gimmick either. The setup delivers better acceleration, tighter handling, and surprising fuel efficiency for the horsepower. Offshore captains swear by the stability when docking or spinning a big boat around in a tight marina. The DF350A also proved that Suzuki could innovate at the top level, not just make reliable mid-range motors. In a market dominated by Mercury and Yamaha, Suzuki showed up with something unique. It might not have the flash of custom paint or superchargers, but in the right setup, it's every bit as insane. For years, Honda capped out at 250 horsepower, while Mercury and Yamaha stole the big boat spotlight. That changed in 2023 when Honda finally dropped the BF350. And here's the kicker. It's their first ever V8 outboard. With nearly 5 litres of displacement and 350 horsepower, it instantly put Honda back in the offshore conversation. This isn't just about power though. Honda borrowed tech from their cars, including VTEC variable valve timing, which keeps it smooth at low RPM and punchy when you open it up. It runs on regular 86-octane fuel, sips it more efficiently than you'd expect, and delivers up to 70 amps of charging, enough to keep every screen and fridge on board happy. On luxury tenders and big center consoles, triples and quads of BF350s look surprisingly sharp. They don't shout like Mercury Racing motors, but that's the point. The BF350 is quiet, refined, and built for owners who want power without the drama. The Mercury Racing 400R has been through a couple of generations, starting as a supercharged inline-6 and evolving into V8 and now V10 versions. No matter the form, it's a legend in the performance boating world. Rated at 400 horsepower, it's become the go-to engine for multi-rig offshore catamarans. These are the boats you see flying across poker run courses, rooster tails stretching hundreds of feet behind them. 4 or 5 400Rs on the back isn't unusual, and when you add it up, you're staring at 2,000 horsepower or more. It's outrageous, but that's exactly the point. The 400R isn't just about bragging rights though. Mercury designed it with racing-specific gear cases and heavy-duty internals, so it could handle surfacing props at insane speeds. Owners push these motors hard, and they keep coming back for more. If the 450R is the hot rod, the 400R is the dependable racehorse that never seems to stop running. The 527 was Seven Marine's middle child, but calling it middle is unfair. At 527 horsepower, it was still one of the most powerful outboards in the world when it debuted. Like its bigger 557 and 627 siblings, it was based on a GM V8 and featured supercharged punch. What made the 527 stand out was refinement. It wasn't trying to break records, it was built for people who wanted serious power with a slightly more approachable package. Buyers could still order wild custom paint jobs and lighting, so it never lacked for visual drama. It was the kind of engine you spec'd when you wanted to look outrageous, but not completely unhinged. Sadly, Seven Marine's story ended in 2021 when Volvo Penta shut the brand down. That makes surviving 527s even rarer. Today they're collector's pieces, a reminder of the short but flamboyant era when Seven Marine outboards were the ultimate flex at any marina. If you thought that was impressive, the next few engines take things to another level. From wild custom rigs to multi-brand mega builds, you won't believe what's still coming. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the craziest ones left on this list. If you want to see insanity in motion, just watch an offshore catamaran. The Mercury Racing 400R has become the weapon of choice for these monsters, often lined up 5 or 6 deep on 50-foot hulls. The result is speeds well over 100 miles per hour and enough noise to shake windows on shore. These setups aren't practical, but they aren't meant to be. They're built for spectacle. Poker runs, offshore races, and YouTube videos where you see sunglasses flying off passengers' faces. Owners aren't counting miles per gallon, they're bragging about gallons per mile. And when you've got 2,400 horsepower strapped to your transom, who's really going to argue? It's the modern version of strapping rockets to your car, except instead of a burnout in a parking lot, you're flying across open water with a wall of spray behind you. Few things say I have more money than sense quite as clearly as a 6-pack of 400Rs. Long before 600 horsepower giants, Mercury was already pushing boundaries. In the 1950s, the KG7Q Super 10 Hurricane was a racing legend. With just 19 cubic inches of displacement, it managed around 10 horsepower. Tiny by today's standards, but revolutionary back then. What made it special was the Quicksilver gear case, a streamlined racing lower unit that allowed higher speeds. On lightweight hydroplanes, these motors turned amateur racers into local heroes. Winning a race with a KG7Q was like having a supercar in your garage today. It might not sound insane next to a V12 Verado, but the Hurricane shows that insanity is relative. In its era, it was as outrageous as strapping 5 400Rs to a center console. It's a reminder that outboard history has always been about chasing more speed, more power, and a little bit of madness along the way. And there you have it, 15 of the most insane outboard engines ever to hit the water. From Mercury's groundbreaking V12 to wild multi-engine rigs that look more like rocket launches than boating, each one proves there's no limit to horsepower or imagination. Which setup blew your mind the most? Drop your pick in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride, and don't forget to subscribe for more power-packed stories from the water.